Heat up your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So put down that remote, don't touch that dial, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Plus Platoon. We're a Disney Plus fan podcast that gives honest, spoiler-filled reviews of movies and shows on Disney Plus. We look at new releases, coming attractions, and we'll even go back into the vault to revisit some of the classic Disney that's on the platform. Make sure you're subscribed and you will never miss a moment. I'm going to bring in Kate. Kate, good to see you.
Good to see you. Happy New Year, brother.
Yes, Happy New Year. Happy Season 5.
What? That is mind-boggling to me.
Mhm.
Mind-boggling.
This is our 5th season we're starting.
Wild.
So we got some fun stuff. It'll be a little bit more of a Marvel heavy season. Yay. But I mean, we've got the platoon back. Let's go ahead and pull them in. Pete, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Did anyone else notice that there was a lot less joy in this particular Inside Out thing we watched?
Yeah.
Uh,
Get there.
on multiple
The
levels.
character, I mean.
No, on multiple levels, there was a whole lot less joy. And we've got Steve. Steve, how was your break?
It was great. It was relaxing. I spent it in Epcot, which was the first.
Okay.
So
I spent it at home.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you've not already, please like, subscribe, share. As I said, we got some fun shows coming up. As I said, it's our 5th season, so we got some really kind of fun things planned. We're gonna have a live trivia for our 200th coming up in February. So, yeah, gonna try some different things this year. See if we can't shake it up just a little bit. But for the first show, we are looking at Dream Productions. This is from Pixar. It basically is the inside of Riley's head. I want to say it was closer to basically after. It felt like it was more after Inside Out 1, because weren't those the more friends from Inside Out 1?
No, I think those were the new friends.
Were those the new friends?
But I would agree it was probably between the two movies.
Well, because it was before the hockey stuff, and
right.
Yeah, those were the friends she had, and then she went off to hockey and had the dilemma of, do I like my old friends or do I like my new friends?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, it follows one of her dream makers in her head. Basically, they set it up like a production studio where people normally have 3-4 dreams a night, even if we don't remember them. And so they had it set up as she was one of basically the units that was responsible for one dream a night. And it went from the main character they followed, had great success when she was a little girl. But as she was getting older, she was having a whole lot harder time adapting.
Sorry, I don't know what that was. I'm sorry. I don't know what that was.
I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't hear anything.
I don't know what that was.
So, okay. I'm going, I watched the right show, right?
Yes, you did.
And then it's all about how the first dream that we see her do is basically a kid dream that goes completely off the rails because all of a sudden Riley's too old for it. And then it just keeps going further, and she gets less successful and less successful until she finally realizes that, hey, Riley does need happiness and not happiness.
Oh, where have we heard that before?
Well, yeah, I know. It's like we've already had to watch 2 of these Pixar movies. So it's but yeah, it's a 4-episode series. Each episode without credits is about 23 minutes. It's basically set up to be a half-hour show. There's even blackout sections where you can kind of tell where they're going to stick a commercial in there eventually. So, or they are in the commercial paid for Disney Plus. I don't know. So, Pete, I'll start off with you on this one. What about the series was Rainbows and Unicorns? What did you like about the series?
Well, there was a unicorn in it.
There was a unicorn.
So there was some clever bits to it. I'll get to the basis for this is something that we've seen, I feel like, many times, but I guess I do like the idea is a good idea, because especially I think more in the first movie, there was the clever idea that, there's this group that produce her dreams and help her through her life, and the idea of like showing how they make the dreams is a okay idea, I think, for a series. I thought when they announced this that it was going to be a bunch of like
5 to 8 minute segments.
Yeah, like showing, here's the dream that we're producing, and kind of showing behind the scenes of that individual dream. But it wasn't that. So I did like, I think the parts I liked the best were when they were actually producing the dreams and seeing like how they were setting up to do it versus what Riley was seeing. So there were some parts there that I liked. And Steve, what about you?
This grew on me. As I watched it, I enjoyed it more. I think some of the best parts were sort of the minor characters, like the coffee shop character, when working with a very eccentric filmmaker. I chuckled at that. Just those quick things. It reminds me a lot of like Parks and Rec, which Parks and Rec grew on me. Like the first few episodes, like what's going on, and the more I watched it, the more I enjoyed it. Like you said, I think it was enjoyable, like working with these preteen people, where you see this full range of Sparkles the unicorn is all the in thing, to moving into the first crush. I sort of could relate that because I see that in my students. So parts of that made me definitely chuckle. Like I love, like I think it's Sparkles the unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his name? Totally cracked me up. Sort of this, here it is, but really personality wise, this very gruff thing. So what about you, Derek?
I want to throw it to Kate next.
Sorry, Kate.
No, you're good. So I have made no secret of how much I love the Inside Out branding. The type of therapy that I do is called IFS, or internal family systems, which is all about how there are different parts in your brain. Like there's different parts that like you have joy. It's literally just like Inside Out, where it's like joy and anger, and sometimes one takes over. So while this wasn't my favorite, I did enjoy watching. I saw a lot of IFS therapy in this, where like one of the parts is like, no, I know best. I'm going to do this for Riley. Because that is how our brain parts work with IFS therapy, is when you like, and then it takes over, and it takes over your dreams. Like it takes over what you think about all the time. So there were bits and pieces where I was like, oh, there's definitely an IFS therapist working on this movie. I personally really liked the episode about sleepwalking, because I am a sleepwalker. I have made it all the way out to my car before when I was in college. I usually sleepwalk and go to the kitchen because I'm hungry. I've started to temper that a little bit by like leaving like little M&Ms by my bed or something. So then I wake up and I just eat that. But you can ask my husband the things that I say. I'm a sleepwalker and a sleep talker. The things that I say in my sleep are hilarious. Apparently the other night I was asleep and I woke up and I looked at my husband and I go, Stranger Things, Casey. Stranger Things. And then just went back. Like the things I say are just bonkers. So I like that they had an episode about,
Nothing.
I like that they had an episode about sleepwalking, because I was like, oh yeah, this is so, and I just love how they put that.
I like that they did an episode on lucid dreaming. I've never done lucid dreaming. I've never had that happen before. But I think it's a cool concept. So I like the idea of this show. Pete, I think that's what you were kind of saying, maybe, is that I like the idea of it, but I don't think it was executed well. And that will lead us into, go ahead, Derek.
I would say there are a couple of moments I like. Lewis Black coming back as Anger was hilarious in this series.
Was it all the original
his
voices?
3 lines.
No, he has more than that.
Okay, maybe a few more. Yeah.
But like, it showed you the difference between, I don't know if I don't want to say the talent, but just how, if you know the characters more or whatever, but when you had the original emotions come up versus the dream producers.
Yeah.
And that was just, it was almost jarring. Just, and it worked why they did it, but it was you've come to know those characters so much more. And as you're throwing them in a couple times every episode, it kind of can cause problems in all of a sudden you see the main characters and let's see more of them.
Right.
Okay.
I did see something where apparently if you look in most of the scenes as they're producing the dreams, at least one of the main emotions is in the background.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like very hidden type thing, but at least in most of the scenes and most of the production meetings, at least one of the main emotions is there somewhere.
I wish I would have known that, because I would have been keeping an eye out for that.
I looked for it in the last couple episodes. I had a hard time seeing it. Again, it's one of those way in the background, and you might see like the top of Anger's head, or it's those kind of little things.
Okay.
But anyway,
Interesting.
yeah, that was. I said I was like P. I would have said if there were 6, I was expecting like 6 to 8 5 or 6 minute dreams, and what went into producing those, and why this one worked, and why this one, show me some flops, but okay, hit that dream, and then let's move on.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna do the whole Parks and Rec office docudrama, whatever thing that they did, that didn't work because it didn't. They either needed, I almost think they needed more of that to make it, or like have someone actually asking her questions, or it just or get rid of it altogether is probably what would have been best. But it just that section, and that kind of, now I know that's not really what we're talking about here, but heck, let's go ahead and lead into it. What about this was okay? Go ahead, Pete.
I do have one other thing one part I did think was hilarious was the stuff with the Canadian boyfriend. And maybe it's living so close to Canada, but like when they were producing the Canadian boyfriend dream, and he was like, and his moose was named Timbits and things like that.
Yes.
That whole sequence really cracked me up, and maybe that's why I wanted more of the dreams than the other stuff. But sure, I'm sorry to interrupt though, because
no, that was true.
It didn't occur to me when it was my turn, but that particular scene I laughed at more than the entire rest of the show. So
that's fair. Okay, so what about this was a nightmare? What caused you to wake up and completely lose any sense of this is something I want to remember? Steve, I'm going to start with you on this one.
I think you already sort of touched on it.
There's enough to go around for everybody. So
I think you sort of touched on it. If you're going to do sort of the Parks and Rec thing or Community or whatever, you need to focus more sort of on the characters and their interactions. I felt like they were all in different places instead of they're all in the same, interacting more. I mean, you had a little bit of that. I think you have to go somewhere. Like, because there's like Janelle, and it was like you were getting like these little separate episodes, and occasionally they would come together and interact. or go more heavily in the dreams and the repercussions. I mean, I really enjoyed this, so I don't have a lot of negative things to say about it. So
I agree. It just didn't hold my attention well. It didn't hold my attention. I found myself kind of getting very distracted while I was watching. Excuse me. But yeah, it didn't hold my attention. I also my mom is visiting, and so she watched these with me, and she kept saying, "Who is this for?
Yeah.
Is this for kids or is this for adults? Because this is quite scary if it's for kids, but it is drawn and created like it looks like it's for kids." But and I said, "Well, yeah, I can see that." Um, it just didn't hold my attention, and maybe a little bit of what you were talking about, Steve, that it felt fragmented. Um, like I was like, "Oh, we're like oh, right now we're like with the Inside Out characters. Oh wait, but then there's this other person, and then but did this girl get fired? Why isn't she?" I just couldn't follow the storyline. Um, again, I think the idea of this show was really good. I just don't feel like it was executed well. Pete, what do you think?
So I do not like I mean, I know the Parks and Rec, but to me it was more. Well, I guess Parks and Rec did it too, but it's almost more Office. I do not like that conceit, and I especially don't like the conceit when it makes no sense. Who are they filming a documentary for in the brain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does like why are you having a documentary in the brain? It doesn't, it makes sense for Parks and Rec or The Office. Oh, they're doing a documentary on this little office in Scranton, Pennsylvania, whatever. They're doing a documentary in the brain about dream makers. For who? Is there TV channels in the brain? I don't know. So I don't like the conceit to begin with, and then when it doesn't make any sense, I especially don't like it. And I think it's hard to do well. And I think Parks and Rec I like, so they actually do it well. I think it's very hard to do well, and I don't think they did it very well here. And so to what Steve said, it was a weakness of the show because I think it works best when you focus on those characters. But there was too many characters and too much going on, and I don't know, it was a very scattered show, and I didn't think there was enough humor to it either for what they were trying to do. I mean, there were some funny moments, but I just the style of it didn't work for me, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't something I would go back to. And I don't know how to say this, and I guess this doesn't surprise me, but like there's so much heart in the other two Inside Out movies of really getting to like what growing up is about, and what that change you go through. And this felt like it tried to do that, but missed on that too. So, and again, it's a TV series, so I don't expect it to be as good as the movies.
Right.
I'm sure you're not devoting 4 years to the production of it like you do with a film, and you storyboard it and you do go over it again and again and again. But yeah, it just didn't quite work for me. It was fine, but nothing like amazing. So.
Yeah, and for me, Kate, you asked who this was for, and I think that's definitely a problem in this. Normally, you look at the age of the main character on something like this, but was the main character Riley, or was the main character the director? I mean,
That's a really good question.
And because if they're doing this stuff for Riley and they're trying to send the message of it's okay that your dreams don't make sense, but then it's all about office politics and backstabbing, and that kind of, I think, made some of the disjointedness there.
Mm-hmm.
I also did not care about any of the dream makers.
No, that was.
I didn't care about Paula. I didn't care about on.
Do you know why I think?
Why do you think?
Well, for me, because I felt the same way. They all looked the same. I had trouble distinguishing which one was which because really they were all the same shape. They were different colors, but like it wasn't like anger looked very different from joy, who looked very different from sadness, and I could keep them all, but I kept getting everybody mixed up because they all looked so similar. I
Right.
couldn't tell. I had trouble telling them apart.
Yes, Paula and the main one looked I agree, very similar.
Mhm.
Like I could tell who Janelle was because she was shorter.
But
And-
I just kept getting confused.
And I'm sorry since this was like right before Inside Out 2, but to have a dream maker that was basically ennui, and then we had ennui in the movie, or not necessarily ennui, but that the whole little bit more mature. But if the whole bit on Inside Out 2 was when she started to mature, the timing didn't quite work on that too. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, I also have a problem. Okay, anyone else catch this? I think it was in the second episode when she said, "I don't want to wear the dress," and Mom said, "Okay."
Yeah.
Yet it was still the whole thing. The rest of the series was that dress. Mom had already said it. Okay, okay. It's that, yeah. So, the whole premise behind this was they were trying to create dreams that helped the core memories of Riley, and the idea was that it was a dream that she remembered. I guess my question for you is there a dream? How often do you really remember your dreams as they go through? But is there one or two dreams that you absolutely either repeat or remember it because of for certain reasons? And Kate, I'll start with you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have really, really, really vivid dreams. Like I can tell you the colors of the wall. I can tell you textures of things, the color. Like I have very, very vivid dreams. Like I had a dream last night that my mom was super mad at me and we weren't speaking to each other. She decided to get married. Again, whatever. She decided to get married and she threw this lavish wedding that I was invited to, but she didn't tell me when or where it was, but I was invited and I was expected to read her mind. And I walk into this room and like there was like chandeliers everywhere and there was glass walls and like waiter came in and was like, "Can I start a martini for you?" Like dressed to the nines. Those are the type of dreams that I have. Mine are very, very vivid. I almost always remember them. I remember at least one dream per night. I also have really vivid nightmares. And my husband knows if I'm having a nightmare because my breathing changes while I'm asleep. But yeah, I have extremely vivid dreams that I remember almost every night. So, Pete, what about you?
So when I was younger, I used to actually remember a lot of my dreams, and then I would have like nightmares and things too. And I developed techniques. I guess I didn't know it was called lucid dreaming or whatever, but I developed the ability to like be able to tell when I'm in a dream and kind of like course correct the dreams because I would have some like pretty bad nightmares. And since then, and this was quite a while ago, I don't really remember my dreams much anymore. So I'm sure I'm still having them, but if I remember one or two dreams a year, and then usually it's just one of those things like, oh yeah, no, I had a dream last night and it was, kind of weird. I was still in high school or something like that. But I remember I used to have like dreams where I'd be like attacked by wolves was a big thing that like the wolf would be like charging at me and be,
Oh,
so I did not like those. But I almost never have nightmares anymore. Partly because, as I said, now I'm kind of able to like when I get that dream that's going down that path, I'm like, no, I don't want to dream this. Let's go over here, and I move it.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
What about you, Steve?
I usually do not remember my dreams. If I do, it's like very vague, like like maybe bits and pieces. I know younger. I remember one time I had a nightmare, and I know I sat up straight in bed and just screamed at the top of my lungs, and then went right back to sleep. Totally freaked out my parents. So, but yeah, I usually don't remember them. If they are, they're usually about school.
Ooh,
tracks.
so nightmares. Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I'll occasionally remember like it's either going to be a dream I wake up from. Either I wake up from it in the middle of the night, or I wake up from it like it's the last dream I dreamed. But very, very few of those actually stick with me. Like I can tell my wife about them that morning, but as far as like big, huge like dreams I always used to remember, no, not really. I do remember there's one nightmare that I had when I was probably 6 that I still remember. It was basically my grandparents used to live in Florida, and they had a canal out back of their house, and they had a boat. Well, I fell overboard in the boat, and as I was trying to get up, a alligator was coming at me, and right as getting ready to snap his jaws on me, I wake up.
Yeah, it was like my wolf dream.
Yeah. So, I used to have, I don't know if you'd call them daydreams all the time, like in school and such, but like it's almost like I would think something was going on that wasn't at all type thing. And it wasn't necessarily hallucinations, because I knew it wasn't really happening. But yeah, so anyway, but I think dreams can be fascinating. And there's a whole other subject on dreams, but let's put this one to bed.
You've been waiting to say that, haven't you?
Oh.
To be perfectly honest, I thought of that about 2 seconds before I said it.
That was really good.
Okay, as we always do, we do cups of pixie dust out of 5 on either complete series we watched, or movies we watched, or seasons. So, Kate, for the first pixie dust rating of our 5th season, what are you gonna rate Dream Productions?
I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay.
It's between a 2 and a 2.5, but I'm gonna wait and see what everybody else gives it.
I'm going to give it a 2.5. It's not, if you're a fan of Inside Out, it's harmless. You might enjoy it. I wouldn't avoid it. I just didn't think it was anything I would ever go back to. So, Steve?
I'm torn between a 3 and a 3.5.
Go 3.5. Put him at a 3.5. Put me at a 2.5.
I'm gonna go 3.5, because I remember I watched on the plane and I got done, and it grew on me, and I really liked it. So
Did
I'm gonna go
you
3.5.
want another episode?
Yes, I think that might be part of the problem. Is I tried to condense it. I think they should have stretched it out and made it more of a season. So I'm gonna go stick with my 3.5.
You wanted this longer? Oh, I'm a 2. Again,
I win.
Yeah, sure.
Top rating from Steve.
It was harmless, but it was also, as Kate said, there were like, at least in the last 2 episodes, I'd get about 6 or 7 minutes in and think, okay, we've got to be getting about done, right? So, I mean, it's a 2 for me. So
I
maybe
will
because
say
I was playing and I was bored.
I watched all 4 in a row and was not like, what am I doing here? This is awful. So it was, as I said, I didn't mind it or anything. It wasn't something that bothered me to watch. I just didn't feel like it's something I would go back to.
Kate, did you watch them all in a row?
I did.
Okay. And
I did not, because I knew after I watched the first one and about 2 minutes of the second one, I knew, nope, I got to take a break.
Okay.
So.
Nope, I binged all of them.
Okay. That's what I did.
Okay. Kate, we've got some Disney Plus news that's been while we've been gone.
We do. We've got a couple. First of all, Holes has been greenlit for a pilot for a new series on Disney Plus.
And the rumor has it, it's going to be, and this is me reporting. This is not me saying different, good or bad. It's going to be based essentially at a girls' camp now instead of the boys' camp that the original was.
Okay.
And I have not heard if it is a remake or like a continuation type thing. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? The difference
Yeah.
is,
Yes.
So.
We'll
I'm
see.
interested. I'm curious about that because
I
I've read
think
the
they
book
do it.
multiple times, and the movie was okay.
Movie was
So-
okay. The book is great.
Yes.
All right, next up, for the coming Vision Quest series, James Spader is expected to reprise his role as Ultron, and Farhan Tahir will return as Raza once again, proving that nobody is ever really dead in Marvel.
Yeah, because he died.
Yes.
So
Speaking
Well,
of
Ultron
dead
did.
in Marvel.
speaking of people being dead in Marvel,
Speaking of dead in Marvel, rumors are that The Punisher is getting a Disney Plus reboot. Its main character has been confirmed to appear in the upcoming Daredevil series. Y'all, I have thoughts. First of all,
should
we
something
watched-
that violent be on Disney Plus?
what?
Should something that violent be on Disney
No.
Plus?
Not
No.
without a 18 or up warning. It is
And-
very, very gory.
And a parental lock.
And a parental lock. This should not get a reboot. The Punisher, the first Punisher was great, but it was my least favorite of all of the Marvel to watch because it is so gory and it is so dark and heavy. This I just think they need to leave this one alone. Fine, do Daredevil, even though the first Daredevil was perfect. Do Daredevil and ruin that.
Except
No.
they're pulling Daredevil in because he's going to show up in some of the movies coming up.
Which is great. And listen, the original Daredevil series before it came to Disney Plus is phenomenal. It's so good. It's some of my favorite fight choreography. The acting is fantastic. The villains are fantastic. They're going to come in, they're going to ruin it, and I'm ready for that. Don't even try with the Punisher. It's so dark. They're either going to make it as dark as it's going to be, and it's not going to be right for Disney Plus, or they're going to try to Disneyfy it and make it not dark, and then it's not the Punisher, and it's going to
Yeah,
make
you can't make Punisher Disney friendly. You can't. It's one of the few characters you cannot.
yeah.
But
So
Similar to Deadpool.
You would say the same thing about Deadpool.
Deadpool. You're right. You're right.
But Deadpool is not. You should not be showing your kids Deadpool either.
Correct.
So should Deadpool be on Disney Plus or should it have gone to Hulu?
I should have gone to Hulu.
What's all on Disney Plus now anyway?
No, but
Well, you have
Hulu-
to pay for
Hulu's
Hulu.
behind it's a separate.
Oh, is that the
Yeah.
case? I'm
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I mean, Disney does have a parental lock that you
Yes,
can
it
put
does.
on that will prevent you from getting Deadpool and the original Disney Plus shows. The Daredevil, the original Daredevil show is an R-rated show.
It's so
so
good.
yeah.
High quality. Anyway, that's it for
I heard
Disney
you-
Plus
oh, you're
news.
meaning Affleck, right?
No.
What? No.
I'm kidding. I'm
Oh
I'm kidding.
no.
Seriously?
Oh no.
Didn't they make the joke about that in the new Deadpool when Elektra showed up?
Yep.
Well, he says, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about Daredevil," and she's like, "It's fine."
So next week we have the finale of the Star Wars Skeleton Crew series. I will admit I have not been keeping up on this one, so I've got some watching to do. I know Pete has been enjoying it. Kate, have you been keeping up or
I
not
have
really?
not. I'll have to
No.
binge it.
Steve, have you been keeping up?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm all caught up. I'm ready for the last episode.
Oh, I'm just enjoying the show so much. There's one show that focuses on, is it KB, the girl with the visor and everything like
Yeah.
that?
Jordy.
Yeah, that's really, like, I don't know, very touching stuff with her and everything, and I think Kate will really like that episode. But
Okay.
we'll talk about it next week.
We'll talk
But I'm
about it.
enjoying it. So
Guys, we kind of have
and that character Raza is actually from the first Iron Man movie. that that you were talking
That's right.
about.
He was at the beginning of the Iron Man, and the Jeff Bridges character kills him.
Right. He's the one that that kidnaps Tony Stark at the beginning of the movie.
Right. Okay.
And holds him hostage, and he builds that first Iron Man suit. That's the character.
Okay.
So I don't know how they bring him back.
So unless a White Vision can time travel,
maybe.
So anyway, I said, guys, we have kind of through January, February-ish kind of planned out, but after that, other than a couple Marvel series, there's not a ton getting ready to come out. So if you have suggestions for us, please email us at plusplatoon@gmail.com. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere. We have new episodes every Thursday starting up again on YouTube and all the major podcasting services. For Kate, Pete, and Steve, we will see everyone next week. Bye, guys.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcast and leave those 5-star reviews, as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel, where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @plusplatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode, because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.